Ladies and gentlemen, colleagues from the press, we are gathered here this morning to give an update to the nation on the issues surrounding the former Defense Minister, Geoffrey Bwalya Mwamba, who is an inmate at Lusaka Central Prisons and Correctional Center. In recent days, there has been an impression about members of the opposition and other critical voices being persecuted through targeted prosecutions. We wish to categorically dismiss this perception and reaffirm that all individuals, regardless of their political affiliation, are subject to the same legal processes. The government remains committed to upholding the rule of law while ensuring the well-being of all individuals. Ladies and gentlemen, investigations of former Defense Minister Geoffrey Bwalya Mwamba began under the Patriotic Front government, where authorities were looking into the matter in which Mr. Mwamba allegedly facilitated for the award of various government contracts to Curzon Global Limited of Hong Kong, a company in which he had personal interest. The charges against Mr. Mwamba were committed on an unknown dates, but between 27th December 2012 and 30th August 2021. After the investigations were concluded, Mr. Mwamba was charged and arrested in March 2022 by the Anti-Corruption Commission and the Drug Enforcement Commission's Anti-Money Laundering Unit. According to the charge sheet filed into court, Mr. Mwamba stood charged with 8 counts of conflict of interest, contrary to Section 28(3) of the Anti-Corruption Act Number 3 of 2012 of the laws of Zambia, 1 count of money laundering, contrary to Section 7 of the Prohibition and Prevention of Money Laundering Act Number 14 of 2001, as amended by Act Number 44 of 2010 of the laws of Zambia, and 15 counts of being found in possession of property reasonably suspected of being proceeds of crime, contrary to Section 71(1) of the Forfeiture of Proceeds of Crime Act of the laws of Zambia. Consent to prosecute the matter in the conflict of interest charges was given on the 1st of June 2022 by the then Director of Public Prosecutions, DPP Ms. Lillian Showers Uni. Mr. Mwamba first appeared in court on 8th June 2022 before Honorable Ngobola. On the same day, he was granted bail in his own recognizance in the sum of 300,000 kwacha and 2 working sureties in the like sum. Plea was taken on 24th July 2022 and trial commenced on 19th September 2022. The prosecution called 23 witnesses and closed their case on 1st February 2023. Mr. Mwamba was found with a case to answer on all 24 counts and was accordingly placed on his defense. Mr. Mwamba opened his defense on 16th March 2023 after some adjournments at his own instance. He closed his defense on 7th August 2024. After calling a total of 8 witnesses, himself included, his testimony took almost a year and was characterized by a number of adjournments occasioned by himself. Judgment in the matter was delivered on 9th October 2024. Mr. Mwamba was convicted on counts 1 to 13 of conflict of interest, money laundering, and being in possession of property reasonably suspected to be proceeds of crime. The convict was sentenced to 5 years imprisonment on the first 8 counts, 3 years imprisonment with hard labor on counts 9 to 13. He was, however, acquitted on counts 14 to 24, relating to possession of property reasonably suspected to be proceeds of crime. In view of the said sentence, male convict Geoffrey Bwalya Mwamba was eligible for remission of 1/3 of his sentence, which translated into his earlier possible date of discharge, being 8th October 2028. Male convict Lusaka 787/25 Geoffrey Bwalya Mwamba was lodged at New Mwiimbu Remand Prison and Correctional Center. After Mr. Mwamba's conviction, the state applied to the trial court by summons dated 18th November 2024, seeking orders for payment to the government of the Republic of Zambia of the following monies. 1. US dollars, $399,905, the subject of count 10. 2. US dollars, $499,985, the subject of count 11. 3. 10 million kwacha, the subject of count 12. And 4. $10 million, the kwacha, the subject of count 13. By order dated 18th December 2024, the court allowed the state's application and ordered that the male convict Geoffrey Bwalya Mwamba pays to the government the said monies. Being dissatisfied with the decision of the trial court, male convict Geoffrey Bwalya Mwamba appealed to the High Court against both conviction and sentence. After filing of the appeal, Mr. Mwamba lodged applications for bail pending appeal but was unsuccessful. In addition, male convict Geoffrey Bwalya Mwamba on 13th January 2025 petitioned the Kasama High Court seeking the following reliefs. 1. A declaration that the imprisonment of the petitioner does not take away his right to any form of medical treatment or service. 2. A declaration that the response refusal to allow the petitioner access to specialized medical treatment in South Africa and India threatens the petitioner's right to life and is unconstitutional. 3. A mandatory order compelling the respondent to immediately evacuate the petitioner to South Africa and India for specialized treatment. An order allowing the petitioner in the company of one prison officer to travel to South Africa and India for specialized medical treatment at his own cost. On 13th January 2025, male convict Geoffrey Bwalya Mwamba and the Attorney General signed and filed a consent judgment in the petition whose terms were as follows. The Attorney General is here. You have to note that the government agreed that they were going to have a consent order. The terms of the consent order were that the petitioner be immediately subjected to a medical assessment by an independent medical board at a government health facility, and the said medical board shall expeditiously provide the report on the issue as to whether the petitioner requires medical attention abroad. B, that upon confirmation of the medical condition of the petitioner by the report mentioned in paragraph 1 above, the petitioner shall be expeditiously evacuated to a medical facility of his choice, either in South Africa or India, for specialized treatment at his own expense. C, that the petitioner shall at all material times be treated and considered to be a person in lawful custody, and shall at all material times be in the company of designated security personnel from the correctional service and other security officers to be assigned by the state. D, the petitioner undertakes not to escape from lawful custody and makes further assurances that he indemnifies the government of the Republic of Zambia against any and all liability or responsibility that may arise during his evacuation or treatment abroad. In accordance with the consent order, dated 31st January 2025, the government, through the Zambia Correctional Service, engaged the Ministry of Health, and the medical board was constituted on 4th February 2025. And the medical board submitted its report on 7th February 2025. Following the medical board's report on 19th February 2025, government dispatched a team of security officers to Pretoria, South Africa, to prepare for the evacuation of Geoffrey Bwalya Mwamba for medical purposes. However, a significant challenge emerged. Netcare Mill Park Hospital, where Mr. Mwamba was scheduled for admission, indicated that it had revised its admission policy, prohibiting the admission of convicted persons due to security concerns, stemming from a previous incident involving a Zambian politically exposed person. The policy change presented a major obstacle to the planned inpatient treatment of Geoffrey Bwalya Mwamba. On 28th February 2025, male convict Geoffrey Bwalya Mwamba petitioned the President of the Republic of Zambia, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, to exercise his prerogative of mercy. The President, being considerate, referred the matter to the Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security, in whom the jurisdiction to discharge terminally ill patients is vested, pursuant to Section 77(1) of the Zambia Correctional Service Act number 37 of 2021. Therefore, taking into consideration all the circumstances pertaining to the inmate's health, the recommendations made by the medical board constituted to look into the inmate's health, and the inmate having withdrawn his appeal and undertaken to fully comply with the order of 18th December 2024 and the powers vested in me pursuant to Section 77(1) of the Zambia Correctional Service Act number 37 of 2021. I, therefore, discharge male convict Lusaka 787/25 Geoffrey Bwalya Mwamba on medical discharge. In the same vein, in exercise of the same powers, I hereby also discharge the following inmates on medical grounds. 1. NMWR/579/24 Julius Patson Daka. 2. KAO/233/24 Brian Chinyemba. 3. Lusaka 387/25 Collins Banda. 4. Lusaka 2611/24 Harrison Mumba. 5. Lusaka 330/24 Bassett Simbala. 6. Livingston 477/23 Richard Mudenda. 7. Mongu 257/24 Kunyanda Pumulo. 8. Livingston 760/21 Kingsley Mwiimbu. 9. Lusaka 2397/24 James Piri. 10. Lusaka 580/24 Isent Changa. 11. Lusaka 2115/24 Samuel Musonda Bwalya. 12. Lusaka 1227/25 Mwiunda Namayanga. In conclusion, allow me to state that in this country there are no political prisoners, as all we have are persons who have been found in conflict with the law. Therefore, it must be noted that allegations of persecution of members of the opposition, whether convicted or appearing before the courts of law, are unfounded. We wish to reiterate that all individuals, regardless of their political affiliation, are subject to the same legal processes. The government remains committed to upholding the rule of law while ensuring the well-being of all individuals. We also note that the United Nations Special Rapporteur on Freedom of Opinion and Expression, Ms. Irene Khan, who visited Zambia early this year, also echoed the fact that there are no political prisoners in Zambia. This was said when she called on the National Assembly of Zambia on 29 January 2025. We wish Mr. Mwamba, who is currently admitted at Mainasoko Military Hospital, and the others, a speedy recovery. Thank you so much, my dear colleagues, members of the press, for listening to me.